A boom town in Kampala district, at the parallels between Uganda and Rwanda, a spectre of fear haunts the residents here. Since Rwanda closed the border, the kindred spirit that once existed amongst the communities here was shattered. Any slight stray into Rwanda, even within inches, has dire consequences for nationals from either side. As the conflict between Kigali and Kampala continues to fester, residents live under the barrel of the gun. The canopies of knitted tree branches dotting the hills, a spitting distance across the border, give marksmen a cover to target those who attempt to cross the invisible line. This week on Monday, a Rwanda national, Jean-Pierre Havugimana, a resident of Gikumbi village in Rwanda, was shot as he was carrying food from Uganda. Reports indicate Havugimana was in company of a colleague who did not survive. Havugimana remains holed up at a health facility in Katuna, pondering whether to return home, where he fears for his life, or to seek asylum. He recounted to NTV the fate that befell him.
Bankubise isasu batambwiye ngo nimagarare cyangwa se ningende cyangwa se ngo ndinde.
Bari ufite bakabita
barabijyanye.
Kandi bingana ki?
Byari 200 twari twikoreye turi babiri. Byari 200 by'ibirayi twari twikoreye.
Havugimana was shot in the shoulder and he is recuperating after surgery.
Uganda ndukuzi Uganda guhaye ibirayi kugeze saa 8 n'igice bandasira ku muferege w'Uganda. Bitangaro subire na hano kwa muganga, ngeze hano kwa muganga banjyana Kabare, ngezeyo bansubiza hano barambaga bankuramo isasu kundahanga.
Monday's shooting adds to previous incidents at the flashpoint border. In early May, a Rwandan businessman was shot by Rwandan security as he tried to smuggle about 500 kilograms of beans into Uganda. And later that month, a Ugandan and Rwandan were shot dead on the Ugandan side by Rwandan marksmen. A potential tinderbox, this dispute continues to be managed through diplomacy. Kampala and Kigali have had a love-hate relationship from 1997, when they forged a military alliance that oversaw the removal of DR Congo's Mobutu Sese Seko and installed Laurent Kabila as his successor. Seeking to control him as puppet masters, a new war broke out, sucking in other African countries. Uganda and Rwanda propped up different militia groups, which then led to clashes between the two armies between 1999 and 2001 in Kisangani over control of strategic locations and mineral wealth. In the years that followed, relations between the two sister countries and erstwhile allies remained frosty until 2010, when they seemed to have normalized and again started collapsing in late 2017. The climax of the breakdown in relations was on February 28th, when Rwanda closed Katuna and Chanika borders in Kampala and Kisoro districts respectively, stating that this was meant to pave way for some rehabilitation works. For almost 8 months now, the brinkmanship between the two countries has largely taken an economic toll. Franco Kolinako, the chairperson of the Katuna business community, told NTV that businesses in Katuna have closed shop and others have relocated.
Abasirikare b'u Rwanda bakuba abantu amasasi urusi bamwe bari mu boda uraba boda yafe eri kumpe ne Rwanda twinama abantu abayinamo ente famuzi biki aba bali mame birime kati abantu bona batide rwansonga ya kuba amasasi bulijo eraga kurusinga nigahingira no mu Uganda.
As a result of the standoff, Ugandans and other nationalities are allowed to cross the border from either side at will, while Rwandans are only allowed to enter their country but not to exit. Only Rwandan truck drivers are allowed to exit if transiting to Kenya but not Uganda. Most specifically, Ugandan goods are not permitted in Rwanda. Kigali has not officially communicated about why it enforced these barriers which flouted the East African Community Protocol on free movement of goods and persons. Nelson Nshangambasheija, the Katuna Town Council Mayor, said the problem is with Rwanda and not Uganda.
Here in Katuna, the border is ever open, but as at Rwanda side, they are closed. They can't allow their citizens to cross to Uganda. But for us here in Uganda, the border is ever open 24 hours. And we are not sure whether the border will be open or whether it will still closed. It depends on these big leaders to sit and help us, because for us we are suffering innocently.
Katuna's decline has had a direct linkage on the main Kampala town, which is the main hub. Business is now in a tailspin. Following the blockade at Katuna and Chanika border posts, Rwanda advised businessmen and truck drivers to instead use Mirama Hills border in Ntungamo to be able to cross into the country. At Mirama Hills border in Ntungamo district, trucks are cleared to Rwanda, but customs officials speaking informally told NTV that generally cargo volumes between Uganda and Rwanda have shrunk. Uganda Revenue Authority data shows that the value of Ugandan exports to Rwanda reduced by 27% from 585 billion shillings to 426 billion shillings between the financial years 2017 and 2018 and 2018-2019. And likewise, imports trade shrunk by a 23% from 160 billion shillings to 123 billion shillings. The taxman's data for the period between July 2018 and June 2019 show that the number of trucks using Mirama Hills have more than tripled on both inflow and outflow due to the closure of Katuna and redirecting all cargo trucks since March 1st this year. Between March and June this year, about 7,582 trucks have crossed through Mirama Hills, but the number of buses and small cars have reduced during the same period due to the reduced cross-border movement of Rwandan citizens. On June 10th, Kigali temporarily opened its Katuna border for 2 weeks, during which period 311 trucks were allowed through and the border was closed again. According to the Private Sector Foundation Uganda, the umbrella body for the private sector, on average, Uganda raked in $16 million or 56 billion shillings monthly from trade inflows with Rwanda, mainly through Katuna, which has since reduced to less than $3 million or 10 billion shillings. Gideon Badagawa, the executive director of Private Sector Foundation, told NTV that the rift is bad for both countries.
I mean a lot to the GDP for both countries. GDP for both countries. Forget about East Africa. We actually working against ourselves, if you like. Uganda is working against itself. Rwanda is working against itself. We need a mutual relationship. We need cooperation. We need to strengthen our interface as businesses, through trade, through investments, through transportation. If you went there and see how many trucks are not moving across into Rwanda.
Badagawa said Ugandan manufacturing has been the most affected.
They invest in Uganda and they want to access these markets. So they are investing massively to be able to take advantage of the markets. Now, if you close, if the markets in Sudan are closed because of the insecurity and all these things, the markets in DRC have got issues as well, and the markets in Rwanda have got issues as well. Then, no wonder our operators here, the manufacturers, are operating at 30, 40, up to 45% capacity.
After months of bellicose rhetoric by leaders of both countries, Angolan President João Lourenço convened a summit in July to try to mediate President Museveni and his Rwandan counterpart. Uganda, Rwanda, and Angola are members of the International Conference on the Great Lakes Region, a 12-member country body of countries of the Great Lakes Region, which has, however, seemingly lost steam in recent years. A follow-up summit was convened in August, where the two warring principals signed a Memorandum of Understanding detailing 8 key points to end tensions, which was witnessed by DR Congo President Felix Tshisekedi and Denis Sassou Nguesso of Congo-Brazzaville. Some of the key points detailed in the Memorandum of Understanding included resumption of cross-border activities between both countries, including the movement of persons and goods, formation of an ad hoc commission to implement the Memorandum of Understanding, and refraining from actions conducive to destabilize or subversion in the territory of the other party and neighboring countries.
The problems, I may have my own understanding, but somebody has got a different view. That's why sharing becomes very important, and that's why we are grateful. I myself am grateful that President Lorenzo came in, President Tshisekedi came in. I had already been in touch with President Kagame through our own channels, but this was like a reinforcement.
Our commitment, Rwanda's commitment to implementing or following the guidelines that will help us overcome a number of difficulties. I think we are not going to be found wanting in the process of respecting not only what is in the communique, but also respecting our brothers, the leaders who have brought us together to reach this understanding.
The Ad hoc Commission for Implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding signed in Angola held its first meeting in September in the Rwandan capital, Kigali. At the Kigali meeting, the Commission, comprising of, among others, Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Internal Affairs and intelligence chiefs of the two countries, also charted 6 talking points to end the tensions. Some of the talking points included a treaty on extradition to provide a framework for future exchange of criminal fugitives between the two countries, due process being followed in dealing with each other's citizens, and refraining from any acts of destabilization against each other. Rwanda, at the Kigali meeting, also provided a list of its nationals detained by Ugandan security officials, whom it wants released as soon as possible, information which Uganda committed to verify for purpose of processing those named and releasing those who against no evidence of criminal conduct will be found. Ugandan security previously indicated that some of the detained Rwandans are held on espionage charges. A follow-up meeting was planned in a month's time to be held in Kampala, but it didn't take place. It was again scheduled for November 13th, but was rescheduled again. Foreign Affairs Minister Sam Kutesa told NTV that the meeting of the Ad hoc Commission is now scheduled for November 18th.
On the 16th of September, we were due to hold another meeting on the 13th here, but our friends from Angola and DRC, whom we want to be present at all these meetings because they were the facilitators, Angola was unable to attend on 13th because of prior commitments. We have put the meeting to the 18th of this month.
Of the 6 talking points agreed upon in Kigali, so far only one, on committing to cease all forms of propaganda in mainstream media and social media, has ostensibly been enforced. Speaking to journalists on Friday in Kigali, President Kagame weighed in on relations with Uganda and follow-up summits that did not take place.
The official communication about the meeting that was supposed to be taking place on the 16th of October, now being suggested for 13th of November, did not reach us until we read it in the papers. Then after reading it in the papers, we received the official letter. Well, that has its own meaning, which I know, again, I'm not...
He further reinforced that they decided to prolong the Katuna border closure as a reciprocation of the continued illegal detention of Rwandans by Ugandan security agencies.
Do you really arrest people, pile them up in their hundreds, and you fail to put even one in the court of law and have them charged and tried? Just even one out of hundreds. So the moment that you say you cannot do that, or you are not able to do that, it tells a different story. And this has always been our concern. We have always heard them say, we respect your sovereignty, we respect your institutions, we say, but you are arresting Rwandans, and the reasons you are giving don't add up.
While Rwanda has accused Uganda of aggression and sponsoring subversive elements who are keen to sow mayhem in Kigali. President Museveni has preferred to take a less confrontational approach. President Museveni, in May, described the border closure as a hiccup, and he and Ministry of Foreign Affairs officials have said they will not discuss issues with Kigali in the media.
We have as Uganda refused, since February last year, when the border was closed, we have refused to conduct diplomacy through the press. And I think it has served us well.
War relations between the two governments have been on and off over the past years, and the solution to the current standoff ostensibly lies in the Memorandum of Understanding signed in August in Angola. Given the complex relationship between the two main principals at loggerheads, the path to peace remains littered with obstacles. Frederick Mosi, NTV Panorama.